Okay, so we just pray for grandparents and elderly that they're having awesome days and we're helping them out. So grouping is what we did yesterday. Grouping is 2/3 of decomp. Decomp is one of our major methods of factoring. When you have a 2x squared, a 3x squared, a 5x squared, but you can't take a 5 out. We're going to do decomp. We're going to do that today. But to do decomp, we're going to create a grouping question, which is what we did yesterday. And we have to know how to do these homework questions right here. So the last step of grouping was this. Everyone go to I for your homework. Again, if you weren't here yesterday, all the answers to the textbook are in the back. So if your homework questions, you're not sure how to do them, or if you're not sure if you're right, all the answers are in the back. So just a reminder. You can have your quiz empty. All my blocks. Okay, good. So this one is just like taking a 5 out when you have something like 5x subtract 25. However, it's not a 5 anymore, it's a binomial. So instead of taking the 5 out like this one, where you can do that, you take a plus b out. Because these terms have a 5 in common, just like these two terms, or these, two terms, I guess. Two polynomials have an a plus b in common, so you take an a plus b out. Okay, so this is the last step of grouping, aka the last step of decomp. Whatever is not in the brackets, whatever is not a plus b, I call them the leftovers, goes into the other bracket. And then we took a quick peek to see if you can take a 5 out of that bracket or something like that. Usually you can't. If you didn't take a GCF out and it was a GCF decomp question, then you would have to take a 5 out because you missed it the first time. But that will be our first step to factoring. Always take a 5 out if you can from every term to make things easier and to make decomp questions into sum product questions, which are a lot easier than ones you just had a quiz on. The two numbers are 2 and 5, you put x plus 2 times x plus 5, you're done. Decomp, you still have a grouping question to do after you find the two numbers. Okay, anyways, stop talking about decomp, let's just go to grouping. L was a question, and again, for grouping, you have to take the GCF of the first two terms and the GCF of the last two terms, because you can't take an A out, because this term doesn't have an A. So there's no GCF of all four terms. But you can take an A out of the first two terms to get A subtract 9, and then you take a GCF out of the red terms. And if it starts with a negative, you take out a negative. And you just double check to see if that works. If I get negative 5a plus 45. And I know that these brackets should be the same, so you shouldn't put a plus 9 there. And if you do, just fix it up. Okay, they both need to be exactly the same. You need two a subtract 9s. And whatever is not a subtract 9 goes into the other bracket. And if you FOIL this, your final answer, and then distributed and collected like terms here, you get the exact same thing. And they're equal. Okay, but this grouping is letting us factor trinomials that start with 5x squared. You can't take a 5. Very important. All right, let's do one more. This is kind of a typical grouping question. GCF of here, everybody. Is it x or x squared? X, good job. What's left over? Again, I kind of said yesterday, just pretend that's not even there. Just pretend that's the question. It's doing 3 questions as one. Okay, x subtract 15. And then what's the GCF here? If you take a 2 out, it's not going to work, right? You can take a 2 out, but you got to take the greatest common factor, which is a 4. And then you should get x subtract 15. Don't just write this down because it's over there. Actually make sure you have it, because this could be wrong. So don't just assume it's x subtract 15. Make sure everything checks out. And now you take the common binomial out, x subtract 15 times x subtract 4. Oh man. Oh, how about now? This is proof of God's existence right here. Good God. Math is awesome. Any questions on homework? Yes. Okay. This one, I think. Okay, so this is the new question. I think I'm just going to erase everything under it and do it there. Okay, so this one, if you get stuck on a grouping question, it's probably going to be a question like this. I just told you to take the GCF out of the first two terms, so what's the GCF of those two terms? Nut. Remember that cereal commercial, Nut and Honey? Nut and Honey? Nothing. You can take out of here, so what do? Just put can't do it and then move on. Well, Nike would be very proud of you. Just do it. You know, the Nike swoosh was because of me. J-O, that's kind of their symbol for me. J. And it's just a really little O right there. You can barely see it. But, again, that was a pretty big deal in elementary school. Okay, so yes, I would switch the middle terms because it always works. If you want to switch other terms around, it's fine. You'll get the same answer. But if you switch this term and put it here, and this term and put it here, then you're able to take a GCF for the first two terms and a GCF for the last two terms. Okay? So far, so good. So 4b, b subtract 3, plus a, 3 subtract b. There's another twist to this story. Good question. Super hard question. Star M. You guys are going to get tested this year. And you want to be. You don't want to get 100 in everything. That's too boring. That can meet your goal. So what do you do now? If I see that these aren't exactly the same. So first of all, what if this was b plus 3? Oh, this erase this later. What if this was b plus 3 and 3 plus b? What would you do if it was the green stuff? Right?
So what with the and 3 because addition can be done either way?
And do you need to change the sign? No. Okay, so that's the same thing, right? 3 plus 2 equals 2 plus 3. If they're addition, you can just switch them. If they're subtraction, 3 subtract 2 does not equal 2 subtract 3. You can't just flip them. You're always going to get a difference of a negative answer if you do that. And that's why. Okay, get rid of the green. Why isn't it getting rid of the green? Oh my goodness, so boring. Come on. That's why if you do flip these, which we're going to, we need a b subtract 3. So we're going to make this b subtract 3. We flipped them, switched them. If we do that with subtraction, what do we have to do, everyone? Daryl? Yeah, change that sign. And now you're allowed to do that. It's still equal. That's why we put equal sign there. But now we're able to take a GCF binomial out. All divided by a. Good question. Of course he asked that question. Best question of the day is look at that shirt. More than a math shirt. Square root answer. That's why they're so popular. It's all about math. Decomp page 12 in your handout. And we're not going to worry about anything about algetiles. This is decomp. So you're going to use this when the trinomial starts with 2x squared, 3x squared, 5x squared, and you can't take a 5 out. There's no GCF. If it starts with x squared, it's a sum product question. You do not do decomp, which is 3 times longer. Okay? In fact, I'm going to write that down right now. Do not decomp sum product questions. Sum product questions start with x squared. What a waste of time that is. That was the quiz you just had. If your numbers were -1 and 8, put x subtract 1, x plus 8 in the brackets, you're done. Don't do 4 steps later and get the exact same answer. For decomp, you're going to create a grouping question. Create a grouping question. AKA slice and dice. AKA GCF the first 2 terms, GCF the last 2 terms. AKA, I just wanted to say AKA again. Makes it sound cool. Okay. Okay, so they give you this question, and we're just going to talk about it, and you're going to be fuzzy, and don't worry about it. We're going to do enough of these questions. But they do a question right here. Instead of putting an example, they put for instance. Ooh, fancy. Here's an example where you're going to use decomp. It starts with 3x squared, and you can't take a 3 out of all the terms, so there's no GCF. If you have that, the first step is sum product, except for the product is no longer the number at the end. The product is the first number times the last number. Okay, so it's 3 times 8. That's the product of 24. The sum is still the one in the middle. Yep. Nope. Lay it around it. So you need 2 numbers that multiply to 24 and add to -10. So I'm going to shout it out. Yep. -6 and -4. Everyone write down -6 and -4 here. Those are your 2 numbers. But it's not like sum product. I wish I could just put x plus subtract 6 times x subtract 4 and be done. Decomp, you're not done. Those are not the numbers that go in the brackets. Those are the numbers that are the middle terms. Okay, so -6 and -4 are the middle terms of those trinomials. You can see that the middle term now is -10, but this is called decomposition because you decompose the middle term into the 2 middle terms that you just found into -6 and -4. And you guys agree? Does -6 subtract 4 equal -10? Okay, so you haven't changed anything. They're still equal. Put your equal signs. Come on, whoever did this. But this allows you, when you break up this middle term, this now allows you to do a slice and dice question. It is now, go ahead and write down, this is now a grouping question. I'm going to abbreviate grouping. So you have gone sum product, and then the next step is, bam, you created a grouping question because it's 4 terms. You're taking the GCF for the first 2 terms, GCF for the last 2 terms. Good question, you guys. Does it matter if you put the -4x and -6x? It doesn't matter which order you put it in. Okay? If I have a 5 and I see a 25 over here, I'm going to put the 10, the 5, and the 25 together so I can easily take the 5 out as a GCF. If you had a negative and a positive, I would always put the negative first, and that means you won't have to take a negative GCF out of the second part of the grouping question. But if you, it's a little easier. That's the rule I would follow, but you don't have to. You'll still get the exact same answer. But if your third term doesn't start with a negative, you don't have to take a negative GCF out. So if you have a negative and a positive, I put the negative in the second term. Does that make sense? Or do you want me to do some examples first? Okay, so and otherwise, they just GCF of this, GCF of this, x subtract 2, left over, down the middle. So it's a long question, but all of this is grouping. The only difference is sum product, break down the middle term into two terms. The two terms are the two numbers that you have that multiply 24 and add to negative 10. Okay, so you're creating a grouping question, and it's called decomp. So let's go to the next page and do something. Probably do a couple, yep, and then we'll do one step at a time, and then you do on your own, and then we'll play some group work, Star Wars, Spider-Man, Harry Potter, curse. Remember the curse. That was too much effort. Okay, so decomp, so factor, but we're going to use decomp, so just remind yourself this is the decomp questions. Sorry for my P. And the first step of decomp is sum product. You need two numbers that multiply not to negative 15 anymore, to negative 15 times 6. Okay, so product is negative 90. The sum is still a number in the middle. I don't see a number in the middle. What's the number in the middle? 0? 1. X means 1x. So there's an imaginary 1 here. So the sum is 1. So I'll give you 10 seconds to find out two numbers that multiply to negative 90 and add to 1. 90 should automatically throw two numbers into your big fat brain. Talk to me.
Negative 9 and positive 10.
Good. So negative 9 and positive 10. Now I don't like writing it like that because I might be tempted to do this, which is sum product. Why can't you do that? Well, because if you do that and you FOIL it, you get x squared. Well, I need 6x squared. So you can see it's wrong. So don't do that. That's for ones that start with x squared. So I like to put x's on my numbers. Those are middle terms. They're not the numbers that go into the brackets. Okay, so we need a negative 9x and a 10x. We need to now rewrite our 3-termer into 4-termers. Okay, we're going to decompose the middle term into these two terms. So our x, our 1x, is going to turn into negative 9x plus 10x. So I'm going to write down the first term and the last term exactly the same. And the middle term turns into negative 9x plus 10x. Put it in the reverse order, it will still work. I'm going to put the negatives first, just so I don't have to take a negative GCF out of these two terms. Okay? Now I'm going to do slice and dice quickly. You don't have to do it this quickly, but now we're doing a grouping question, so GCF out of the first two terms, and GCF out of the second two terms, and your brackets should match up nicely, and you write down the leftovers. Well, that's magically delicious. Math is awesome. That can't possibly work. Well, look what happens if you FOIL it. 2x times, I guess podcast people, if you FOIL this, you get 2x times 3x, that's 6x squared. You get 10x subtract 9x, well that's plus 1x, and you get negative 3 times 5. So check your answer. Everyone write down check to make sure you didn't make a sign mistake. It takes 5 seconds to check it, and then you're happy. You can tell, hey, J.O., don't even bother doing this. I've already checked it. It's right. And that saves me time, too. Because I'm lazy. Okay. It looks like a lot of mumbo-jumbo, but all that is grouping. Like I said, it's 2/3 grouping, maybe even more than 2/3 grouping. Any questions on that one? Doesn't matter if you put 10x subtract 9x right here. You can put it in reverse order. You'll get the exact same answer. Math is magical and awesome. All right, you can be fuzzy. That's okay. Let's do another one. Everyone got it down? Okay, let's do B, and some of you are already working on it. Good job, nerdos. So B, don't just see 4x and oh, it's a decon question. It might not be. Maybe you can take a 4 out of each term and then it becomes sum product. It might be a GCF sum product. So when you see 4x squared, don't just assume it's a decomp. It might not be. It might be a GCF sum product. This one, well, we're close. You can take the 4 out of here, but you can't take the 4 out of here. So, dang it, it's a decomp. Oh well, I can do decomp. I can find two numbers that multiply to 20 and add to negative 12. Help me. Thank you. Okay, negative 2 and negative 10, and I'm going to put x's beside them just so I don't throw them in the brackets. Oh, nilly willy. Next step is keep the first term, keep the last term, and the middle term decomposes. Negative 12 turns into negative 2 and negative 10. Now, they're both negatives, so it doesn't matter which one you put first as far as negatives, but I'm going to put the 10 with the 5. So you don't have to, but I like putting 10s and 5s together. It's more fun for GCF. Does everyone understand that step? That's the step. If you can do this, you're done. It's a grouping question. But you have to get to this part. Everyone get that part? It's different. It's not find two numbers and put them in the brackets. Sum product. I love sum product. Bless you. Nice and easy. You're done. This one is find two numbers, create a grouping question. Bless you. Bless you. Okay, now it's decomp. Take a 2x out. Take a negative 5 out. Or if you don't want to take a negative 5 out, you can go like this. If those signs are confusing you a little bit, you know that you should have the same bracket. So if you want to work backwards and say, okay, I need another 2x subtract 5, so what times 10x equal, or what times 2x equals negative 10x, negative 5, and then just make sure this works out. Negative 5 times negative 1 equals positive. So whichever way you want to do it, and my word, you don't want to go this far and then forget your last step. Can someone FOIL that and check that in their head? Did you get 4x squared subtract 12x plus 5? Checks out. Olivia says yes. Anybody else say yes? Yep. Okay. Fine. You may. Okay. Let's go see one step at a time. Okay. So first step, sum product. Do that first, and I'll catch up to you. For C, again, don't just do decomp. Look at the 3x squared. Can you take a 3 out of everything? You can't. So now it's a decomp question. Anyone still writing this down? I'll give you another minute to do the sum product part. Find the two numbers that multiply this and add to this, and then those are the x middle terms. Those are the x's you're going to create. Okay, should have got that. I get 18x and 2x, or vice versa. Good stuff, bless you. I'll give you another minute to write down the next important step. Keep the first term, keep the last term, decompose the middle term into these two terms that you found for some product. Okay, you should have wrote down the first term and the last term. This, I'm gonna call it a blue term. This 20x turns into 18x plus 2x or vice versa, it doesn't matter. I hope some of you put 2x plus 18x, so you'll see that you'll get the same answer. Now, finish it off. Slice and dice. Here's my hint. Go ahead and do a grouping question. GCF the first two terms, GCF the last two terms. Feels good when you're done a question like this. If you are done a question like this, check it in your head using FOIL and make sure you get 3x squared plus 20x plus the gamma. Second last step. Take your last step in 33 seconds. This is going to be the longest factoring we know. Okay, so if you're good with this, it's going to be a good unit for you. If you're not good with this, math help tomorrow. We can go over it a few times. You'll have homework tonight, of course. Take out the common binomial and write down the leftovers. If this was 3x plus 6, you would have to take a GCF out here, but it's not. You're done. Do you want to check it? For foiling, did it work out? Yeah. Okay. 3x squared, 2x plus 18x is 20x. There it is. And plus 12 at the end. Do D on your own, please. Your chance to do it all by yourself. Give you 3 minutes. If you're on the podcast, pause until you're done D, and then unpause. All right. Okay. Pretty soon the Dragon's Den will be working for me. Two numbers are multiplied to negative 30 and add to negative 7. Dude. Okay. And again, I put X here instead of A's. I don't do that once, so I'm still marking right. I try to keep the same variable. It happens sometimes. Okay, next is to break this middle term into negative 10. No, I would like the 10 with the 15, but again, I'm going to put the negatives first just so I don't have to take a negative GCF out. I think you can agree that it's easier not to do that. Write down the first term and the last term is doing a little differently this time. And there's an A here. Now, slice and dice. You might get A subtract 5 and A subtract 5. Again, if you switch, you put the negative 10 here, you'd have to take a negative out. It's just easier to take a positive. Now you're happy. And now you're bored. Like, can I get something else more challenging? No, you can't. This is awesome that you just took about 15 minutes to master decom. Good for you. Something that you'd be staring at if it was yesterday. You wouldn't know how to do it. Now you know how to do it. Check it. 2a squared, yup. I have a 3a and a negative 10a. That's negative 7a, yup. And I got a negative 15, yup. That's right, Joe. Don't even correct it. Sounds good. Okay, we're not going to do E yet, so get a separate piece of paper out or your book, where you put some extra questions. I don't think that's quite enough decom questions. So let's choose a game, a video game. Is Halo, is that even how you say it? Halo? Halo, that's what I said. Can you clean your ears with this, please? Halo is what I said. Everyone who knows Halo. Does everyone know Halo? I don't know Halo at all. Okay, you're a character in Halo, which is a fighting game. Shoot 'em up. Yes. Is it in like science? Is it in space, or is it Warzone? Space. Camo. Okay. Anyways, you're in Halo, and if you don't know it, just pretend you're a character. Name some characters in Halo. Is there characters in Halo? Is there Sergeant Slaughter or Master Chief? Oh, I'm Master Chief. I want to be Master. You guys call me Master Chief, please. That sounds awesome. Okay. What am I doing? Oh yeah, do these questions. You're some character on Halo, but we're all doing the same question. So we'll call this a Halo question. Sounds like a Catholic game to me. So do decomp. That question, and then you can choose the next one to be a villain or a good guy / gal. However you want it. I guess this one you can. Is there good guys in Halo? Just good assassins. Okay. I got laser tag going with my kids almost every night. Let's get this minimized and go to decomp, which is exactly like a video game, except for it's more fun. And drop that. Pick it up before it explodes. And you need two numbers that multiply to -48, add to -13. Talk to me. Ones that you don't see too often. Thank you. -16 and 3, and I'm going to put x's there. Write down the first term, write down the second term. The middle term is the one that decomposes into -16 plus 3, or vice versa. Again, you might be tempted to put the 16 with the 8. I used to do that, but now I know that it's a little easier if I put my negatives first. Doesn't matter, you'll get the same answer. By the way, did someone get the same answer when they put the middle terms differently? I can't remember what question it was. Got the exact same answer, right? Cool. Okay, so take a 2x out, and 3x subtract 8. Oops. And then now what? First time we've seen this one. Now what do you do? Take a 1 out. Good job. You have to take a 1 out, or you're going to lose some of your answer. But that's okay, because you're going to check using FOIL anyway. So if you don't put the 1, and you have 2x in the bracket instead of 2x plus 1, it doesn't work. You have to put the 1, maybe star this one just for the 1 part, and write yourself a little study note. Did anyone check that using FOIL? Worked out? 3 thumbs up? Good. Okay, now, should we go to a galaxy, or should we, oh wait, they're both in the galaxy. Should we go to a galaxy far, far away? Or should we go to a galaxy pretty close? For some reason it's implied that it's not far, far away, although I think it is. Alright, you want to go Star Wars or Avengers? What? Avengers. Okay, we're going to Avengeland. And I want you to do, you can pick any character. If you're a bad guy or gal, you can do this question. You know what the villain said, and they were taught by Spider-Man and Batman, like when I was watching cartoons, which there was only like 2 cartoons all week. They said, "Ah, foiled again." That was the catchphrase the villains used.
Marvel. Okay.
So, I know Batman's not Marvel. Are you telling me? Of course I know that. Spider-Man's Marvel. I said Batman, Spider-Man. They're the same. There is a movie, Batman versus Spider-Man. Okay. Oh, she gets mad. If you're a good guy, do this one. Or a good gal. Alright, 2 questions for you to do. Do one of them. Let's do one more decomp before I give you the homework. I like your passion though. You've seen all the movies 5 times? Me too. Except for, I don't know. One of the Thor's ones, not a big fan. Captain America. A couple of them are okay. One of them wasn't very good. I've been trying not to watch Thor because my wife says that's her boyfriend. So if I ever see Thor, you better watch out. I'm gonna crush him. I'm gonna challenge him to a decomp competition. Alright, do that. Pause on the podcast and we'll come back to it soon. Okay, here are the answers. Agreed? Do I get those? Lots of thumbs, good job. I just checked this one using foil. Didn't check this one. You guys checked the green one. Good guys, did you check the green one? It worked out. I noticed that for this one I did put the negative one first. And never mind, these are both negative, so it made us take a negative GCF out. It happens. We can deal with it, and I guess I need to tell the podcasters the homework as well. So homework is $1.77 in your antique text. 13 C, D, E, F. 15 A, F. 16 and 17. And tomorrow we'll do some, not many, GCF decomp. I'm not going to ask you a lot of GCF decomp. They're long enough. But we'll have to tackle a couple anyway. Okay, so homework, you got some time to work on that right now, another 10 minutes. Actually, you got 11 minutes, 12 minutes, do at least 13. God bless, an awesome day. Ha ha ha.